Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a review of Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh. Um, should note, Renee Ahdieh has written a few other books, very notable for The Wrath and the Dawn, which you can find on Webtoon as a webcomic, or pick up her novel. But anyway, I want to thank Gmork for sending this to me. Thank you again. I think I've thanked you in the past, but thank you again for that. So this book, it's very Japanese inspired. So clothing, names, there's samurai, bushido references, things like that. So very much Japanese inspired, but it is a fantasy novel. It doesn't take place in Japan. It is a fantasy land it takes place in, but it's a very Japanese flavored fantasy world. So the book is about a young woman by the name of Hattori Mariko. She is on her way to the imperial city to be married to one of the emperor's sons. And when the convoy she's in gets attacked by a group known as the Black Clan, they kill everyone there, including her handmaiden, along with some soldiers, and I think a couple other servants might have been in there. She barely survives herself, and decides to disguise herself as a boy in order to seek out and infiltrate the Black Clan. Then once she's in there, she wants to find out who hired them to kill her, and then she plans to kill them. The clan ends up being not quite what she expected. For one thing, they're pretty accepting towards her. They're suspicious of her, and they work her hard. But there's a couple of people in there, a couple of members of the clan who are really nice. The chef, in particular, is really friendly to her. Tries to help her and all that. And she develops an attraction to one of the members of the gang. Naturally, it's the one who pisses her off the most, because it's a woman writing the book. So it's a female written fantasy novel. So enemies to lovers is one of the popular trends with them, tropes with them. You see it a lot. You do see it a lot. But yeah, so there's a bit of an enemies to lovers storyline in there. Guy who just constantly piss her off, which is probably part of why she develops big part of why she develops an attraction to him. He challenges her on an intellectual level, and she prides herself on being really smart. She's a genius. She's actually an inventor. During the course of the story, she actually invents ninja stars, smoke bombs, and explosives. So she's a very good inventor. Being a woman, her family never appreciated how smart she was. They wanted her to be, a proper lady, which she never wanted to be. So her family never really accepted her as she was, which was definitely something that bothers her throughout the story. She's while she is a genius, she does also have a bit of a temper. She gets angry pretty easily. She can sometimes be a bit impetuous and prone to making some really bad decisions here and there when she doesn't really have time to think things through. In particular, there's a brawl that breaks out at a tea house because of her trying to prevent the fight. She doesn't always think things through fully. She does have a bit of a reckless side to her, which causes problems more often than it helps. Also in the book, we get some chapters from the point of view of her brother, Kenshin, who's nicknamed the Dragon of Kai. He's searching for her. He ends up meeting with the Emperor's two sons to get their help, and gets pretty friendly with them, actually. Gets to be on pretty good terms with them. And yeah, he's like a great samurai, very noble and honorable, very good fighter. He is not a big thinker. He's very straightforward. He doesn't really feel comfortable in sort of in complicated conversations. He's the kind to just, you know, say how he feels, and that's that. So, yeah, he's a fighter, not a thinker, but he is also a very good tracker. And there's also occasional bits from the Imperial Palace. So for a little bit of Imperial intrigue, we get occasional chapters from the perspective of the Emperor himself, and sort of exploring his goals, which is basically for his two children to rule together. Speaking of which, one of his children is by his wife, the other is by his consort, who is his actual true love. But he does love both the sons, wants both of them to rule together, and really wants them to get along. And to lead the land into, you know, a better time. There's some intrigue going on from his consort. She's got some stuff going on, and his wife has some plots of her own going on. So we get bits of those as well. But the bulk of the book is from the perspective of... Oh, and the other perspective is we also get some bits from the perspective of Mariko's... of the guy Mariko's attracted to. And lots of interesting stuff about him. So there's some really good intrigue. There's some nice twists along the path, along the story. The romance is done really well. It is a really fun romance between the two. Mariko's attempts to infiltrate the gang or to become sort of part of the gang to get accepted by them are really good. There's some pretty fun stuff during that, with some of them treating her like garbage and her just getting really spiteful about it. Spite is a pretty big motivator for her, and spite and anger. And yeah, the writing is phenomenal. Ahdieh is a really good writer. She's really rich descriptions, lush descriptions of clothing, uh, of scenery, um, of sort of ritualistic, sort of the rituals of certain things like tea ceremonies. Um, a lot of big feminist streak throughout the book, of course. Um, Making it clear how little women are respected in older cultures, in male dominated cultures, how little women are respected in male dominated cultures, and but also sort of how women are able to fight against that. So we meet one of the gang members' sister, uh, who works as a geiko, and she uses her femininity as a tool, as a weapon, to get men to give her what she wants, basically. you know, uh, Mariko herself is obviously rebelling against female stereotypes and female roles, and Kenshin is in love with one of the women who works on his family's estate, blacksmith's daughter, who's a good, talented blacksmith herself, and she's got a will of steel. So we see her also sort of being a dominant figure over a man, despite him actually being, her superior. Even though he's the one in charge, she pretty much takes charge of him whenever they meet. And there's just a lot of great stuff in here. There's some very interesting developments that come along, and great pacing. Yeah, sorry, just happened to look at the reviews on the back, and the pacing's really good, and there's some very exciting action, and I really enjoyed it, and I want to read the sequel. So I'll probably try to get the sequel one of these days. And so it's just a really, really great novel, and I very much highly recommend it. So those are my thoughts on Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh. And so if you're looking for a great fantasy read, this is a great fantasy book. And for that's all I've got for tonight. And hope you enjoyed this, and have a great night.